As Elden Ring more than proved, and we'll get to it for one of these entries, true video game magic comes from stumbling upon something you had no idea was coming. It's more special, worthwhile, and rewarding than ever to actually point out anything that isn't common knowledge to anyone playing. Well, let's give it a shot. I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and these are 9 hidden video game features everyone missed. Number 9. The one-hit knockout. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Was a massive deal in 1984. Even though the boxing game is nearly 40 years old, its consistent popularity with speedrunners has allowed it to maintain its reputation with modern gamers too. Right now, there's an entire community of Punch-Out! Speedrunners who analyze every frame in this game, hoping to secure that perfect run. And by fighting the same opponent over and over, some interesting secrets have been found. In recent years, gamers learned you can perform a one-hit knockout on Piston Honda if you punch him when a bearded man on the left of the audience nods. Also, if you hit Super Macho Man when the audience member with shades frowns, your opponent will be KO'd immediately. Another that took over 2 decades to be found revolves around Bald Bull. If you punch him when an audience member on the very right flashes their camera, they'll go down immediately. A weird coding bug or a genius way to beat each fighter? You decide. Number 8. You can skip to the end almost immediately. NIER AUTOMATA. When you defeat the first boss of NIER AUTOMATA, you're supposed to exit the factory to reach the next area. However, if you walk up to the nearby barrels and punch in a specific cheat code, the game will skip to the post-credits scene instead. It will also unlock features including the debug mode and chapter select. What's so standout is that it took almost 4 years for anyone to figure this out. The reason why is because it only works in the first boss room immediately after you defeat that specific enemy. Since you'll instinctively go to the next location, every last one of us lost the opportunity to perform this cheat. Even if you come back after exiting, it just won't work. Lance McDonald, who was the first person to figure this out, blew fans away when he revealed his discovery on Twitter in 2021. The game's creator, Yoko Taro, was so impressed he tweeted McDonald to actually congratulate him. Considering how reclusive Taro is, this was regarded as an extraordinary high honor in the gaming community, and especially amongst NIER fans. Number 7. The Plunge Attack. Elden Ring. The biggest success of 2022, Hidetaka Miyazaki and From Software, being on the form of their careers, crafted a genuine modern-day masterpiece, an open-world fantasy action game with literally a straight 80 to 100 hours of consistent surprises and things to see, do, and unlock. Since Elden Ring follows similar mechanics to Dark Souls, many players assumed they could use the same tricks to defeat enemies. In the Souls games, you could insta-kill some bosses by leaping above them and doing a drop attack. Sadly, when this didn't work the same way in Elden Ring, most of us assumed the idea was ditched and set about plugging away the old-fashioned way. However, contrary to what many players believe, a modified plunge attack is in the game. Because it only works on certain enemies and the mechanics on how to perform it are different to Dark Souls, it's easy to go the whole game not triggering this specific animation. To pull it off, for example on the Flame Chariot, you can kill them in one go if you press R1 or RB just before touching their head. The attack is not universally effective, but it's massively helpful if you're struggling with certain enemies. Number 6. Daisy's monstrous face. Super Smash Bros. Melee. Did you know that if you zoom into the Princess Daisy trophy in Super Smash Bros. Melee, you can find a third eye on the back of her skull? Of course you did. This random feature was spotted by players soon after the GameCube title was released, and has been mentioned in gaming magazines, forums, and websites ever since. Even though a lot of Smash fans knew Daisy had this mysterious third eye, nobody really had a clue why. Well, the truth has since come out, and the explanation is weird. Instead of modeling Daisy's eyes separately, the developers layered her scalp with eyeballs, then covered her skull with hair. Although the creators assumed no one would ever notice, some people dug around the game's files and discovered the princess's cranium is infested with 10 eyeballs. She's like a second stage Resident Evil boss. Because millions of Nintendo fans have been aware of this feature for years, the full Lovecraftian horror that is Daisy's full noggin is quite the surprise. Number 5. Hot dog balancing. Undertale. Throughout Undertale, you'll find vendors who sell you items to help you on your quest. If you attempt to purchase these items while your inventory is full, you'll be told that you just can't carry any more. Because of this, it's normal for the player to have at least 1 or 2 spaces available in their inventory anytime they approach a new vendor. However, if you have no free slots while buying a specific hot dog from Sans, something strange happens instead. Recognizing you don't have any space, Sans decides to place the hot dog on your head. If you ask for another one, he'll place that right on top, and another, and another. By repeatedly asking for more, you'll achieve a stack of up to 30 hot dogs right on top of your bonds. This meaty tower becomes so tall you can't even see the top at maximum height. Sadly, the snacks disappear if you leave the room, but this is one hell of a hidden feature only a handful of players would have found. Number 4. Changing Bowser's dialogue. Super Mario Odyssey. Throughout Super Mario Odyssey, you can use Cappy to possess others and use their bodies and powers. On your travels, you'll also purchase outfits and hats that allow Mario to access hidden areas and discover collectibles. However, a lot of people don't realize characters will speak to Mario differently depending on his attire, including Bowser. Just before you throw down with your arch nemesis in the climax, Mario will change into a white suit and top hat. When you confront Bowser, he'll mock your wardrobe, stating it isn't as fancy as his. Because nearly every player will be wearing this same white suit before battling Bowser, they then miss the dialogue changes depending on what you wear. If you wear Luigi's clothes, Bowser will point out how familiar they look. If you wear your invisibility hat, he'll just be confused that he can't see you. If you dress as a skeleton or a clown, you can scare him, and for some reason best left to the comments section, Bowser gets genuinely frightened if Mario strips down to nothing but his swimming shorts. Number 3, you can play as the Duck Hunt. Even though shooting at birds is a simple premise, even for 1984's video games, everyone was blown away by Duck Hunt's addictive gameplay and the precision of the NES Zapper. Since it was the first home console light gun game many people had played, it was no surprise Duck Hunt became such a smash hit. However, even if you've been playing this shooter all your life, there's one feature that might have escaped you. Until Hollywood actor Seth Rogen tweeted about it in 2018 and really shone a light on the idea, very few people realized you could control the duck by using the second controller. Adding a whole other dimension to gameplay, this feature is mentioned in the game's manual, but it took over a quarter of a century before it became common knowledge. Number 2, prevent fall damage. The Witcher 3. CDPR's iconic game is easily the zenith of the franchise, surpassing its predecessors in every single way. Due to impressive world building, emphasis on exploration, fluid gameplay, and gorgeous graphics, it's no surprise why this remains their greatest achievement to this day. But no matter how much you love The Witcher 3, there's one thing that grinds everyone's gears: fall damage. Even though Geralt is a legendary monster slayer, falling from even the average height of a human will often kill him in one. It became such a frequent way we were all dying, players wished for a patch to reduce fall damage or add some way to minimize it. Well, turns out CDPR had us covered, they just didn't put it in the tutorial. By tapping the jump button twice just before making contact with the ground, Geralt will land safely without suffering any damage, instead tucking into a roll. Even though this sounds like a feature anyone could figure out, so many people complained across the launch period, CDPR's community coordinator Mohsin Momo had to go on Twitter to tell us how to avoid it. At least we know one thing the team will be prioritizing in The Witcher 4. And number 1, too many to count: The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. There are so many tiny little tricks hidden in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. More often than not, you find them through sheer chance. For example, you probably didn't know that dogs will lead you to treasure, that merchants sell at a discount if it's raining, and that sleeping Hinox hands can be ridden onto their belly to steal loot while they sleep. Best of all, the game's apparent lack of food crafting recipes actually isn't the case, as menus can be found inside a stable's walls. Also, any dish will be stronger if cooked during a blood moon. All these are just the tip of the iceberg so many years after launch, as Nintendo really did go all out when reinventing one of their most monolithic IPs. And those are just 9 hidden video game features everyone missed. Let me know your favorites down in the comments below, and please subscribe to the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com, and I'll catch you soon.